Before we really get into it, I'm going to start off with the San Francisco 49ers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. And I would like to say, number one, it feels so good to be able to watch a full football game of this magnitude. It was one of those games where there's so much riding on it that it was like, But before I even get into that, let me give y'all my biases first and foremost. I love a lot of the players that are on the Eagles. I hate the Philadelphia. I don't like the whole biddy. The whole biddy can be removed, in my opinion. The fans are the worst people on planet Earth, but that's a whole other conversation. But I really love Saquon. I love AJ. I love Smith. I love Hurts. It's a great God. But I will say this. Their team is one of those. The Eagles is one of those teams that make you love the game of football because there's so many players that could just get into their flow state to the point of being like the greatest player of that position in the world. Because of Hurts has this thing about him where he reminds me of Brady, where he just wants to do the minute amount of work. He just wants to get you there. He doesn't want to throw for 500 yards. Run for 3 touchdowns, throw 2 more. He doesn't want to do that, but he knows deep in his heart that he can. And he was willing to give you as much as y'all are willing to take. But this was not a good one. I'll say that right there. It was one of those games where the San Francisco 49ers just wanted the Eagles to walk away with this game with the championship on their back, especially with the Eagles going on such a crazy run last year. And then this year was filled with so much turmoil. You felt as if that they could turn it on, but it was like as the weeks would go by, you would watch the Eagles and be like, man, y'all just are not the same. And it stemmed from the fact that AJ Brown, you made this such a difficult year for me. You ruined so many weeks of greatness. Do you know how many times when I was in a great mood come Sunday and then I look at my fantasy team and I'm down 15 to 18 points, I thought that you were going to be there for me. But before we even get to the fantasy football of it all, I want to stick on just being able to watch in real time the bandwagons realizing that this will not be the year of the Eagles. Because if it's like, the defense wasn't as good as they were last year, Saquon wasn't moving the same way, AJ feels as if he's a top 5 wide receiver, but nobody wants to get him the ball. But in reality, you're getting the ball just enough. You didn't need it any more than you are getting it. And not even to mention, it felt as if football has this way of just humbling you. When you think you're the GOAT, when you think you're great, there will be one way that you will look and you're like, wow, I'm going to get memes made out of me. So if y'all didn't know, the main reason, I don't want to put all the blame on one guy, but you're telling me you were screaming, jumping for the ball, and you dropped, I think it was like 3 passes, and 2 of them was to end the game, and you're telling me you couldn't come up with it, especially against a beaten and bruised 49ers team that their defense has been hurt all year, their superstars hurt all year, their QB hurt half the year. The only person you only had to worry about CMC. Real quick on Christian McCaffrey, you might be one of this. Do you know one of the main reasons why I love sports? Actually, let me put it like this. There's 3 reasons why I really, truly love the game, the sports of it all. Because of, number one, I just love the X's and O's of it when you're able to scheme for so many different things, especially for a game like football, where there's so many people that are involved and so many valuable pieces that you cannot just be I'm a superstar, so I'm going to will our team to the Super Bowl. No. There's so many people involved. But the real reasons why I love sports, especially football, is when you're able to watch a player go into that flow state and just changes the game. Christian McCaffrey has been hooping this whole year. It's one of those things where it reminded me. Do y'all remember when Adrian Peterson won the MVP and he looked like the greatest football player in the world for the span of, 16 weeks? Yeah, it was one of those performances. But back on the Eagles. Back on the Eagles. They had so many weapons. And the fact that they were just stalled out so frequently, it felt as if, you know, when you're trying to force feed the ball to somebody and it just changes the feng shui of everybody else around. It gets to the point where you're trying to find your number one guy, but then a guy like Devontae Smith is just like, bro, I'm actually just open. And not even to mention, their actual best offensive player is Goddard. He's been their best player. It is one of those things where I understand when a player becomes a diva, because it will really turn into, if you're not demanding the ball and be like, hey, I'm open every single play, and just like drill it into your QB's head like, hey, give me the ball, you just might not get the ball. But then it's one of those things where you are now circumventing the greatness that you could really put up, because Goddard was the only one that was like, hey, I'm actually just 24/7. Let me just slant routes, deep routes. One of my favorite plays in football, when you're like on the line, Travis Kelce does this like a lot, where it'll be him and then another wide receiver, and then they go and just like set a pick from each other, and then he's like, oh yeah, I'm literally right here, and since I'm bigger than you, there's not really much you could do about the game. But as you're watching the 49ers and Eagles, it played out how I had a feeling it would go. Even after Kittle goes and tears his ACL, or it might be Achilles, one of the two, you see how everybody still, even with a major loss, they're like, all right, next man up. And you would watch and think, all right, at what point does the levee break? When will there just be too much going on that's just like, all right, let's just throw in the towel? And they just like never did. They just kept going down. Brock, this was probably one of my first times seeing Purdy and being like, you know what? It's not that OP team. Because for the longest, I've had the impression when I'm watching Brock Purdy where it's like, I think you're just around a very, very, very good team. Kind of in the same way as Hurts. But my only rule is, when you have a fantastic team, you have to still show out with said team. You cannot be losing games. And I enjoyed the way that they called their plays of the 49ers, because it seemed as if they knew that CMC was their guy. They knew as long as CMC keeps touching that ball, there's nothing that he can't do. But let's go back. One of the reasons why I was ecstatic while watching this game is because I drafted. This is the football fantasy aspect of it. I drafted Goddard. I drafted Smith. I drafted A.J. Brown on my fantasy team. And when I tell you, I thought this year I was going to blow people out, because the reason why I drafted so many guys on this one team is because I was like, wait, y'all are one of the higher scoring offensive in the league. And not to mention, I got all of them on the later rounds. So you're telling me with I think 8th pick, I got A.J. Brown, right? You averaged, I think it was like 18 to like 20 points on fantasy last year. You were always open. You were always getting yours. I could always count on you to get from 98 to 115 yards a game, catch a touchdown once every 2 to 3 games, and just give me an average of 17 points. For the first 7 weeks, you were giving me 3, 2, 0, 8, 12, 4, 0, 3. What are we doing? What are we doing? Demand the ball, please. And it's one of those things, as you're watching, and you're like, do I sit A.J. Brown? I know I shouldn't sit A.J. Brown. He's the first option on a championship caliber team. I guess not. Should I sit him? No. He can't have 2 bad games in a row. He can't have 4 bad games in a row. He can't have 6 bad games in a row. You sit him down, he goes and gives you 22 points. 22. And it's like, so it's gonna be one of those seasons, okay. And the thing is, I knew I was cooked this fantasy season where my first pick was Justin Jefferson. My second pick, Derrick Henry. My third pick, Joe Burrow. My fifth pick, Laporta. Oh, my sixth pick. Who was the other guy? I think I grabbed. Was it Goddard? I might have got Goddard at like 6. But beyond the point, and then I get AJ, right? And it's one of those things where it's like, this would have been a fantastic team last year. So yeah, it was tough. It was definitely a tough watch this season. It felt good watching y'all finally drop y'all L, because I cannot have the city of Philadelphia just enjoying themselves too much. You can't have everything. You already won one. Let's go ahead and pack it off.